Do you know that out of the 100% businesses in United States, only 1% businesses belong to Black female? This says a lot. It means it's actually quite challenging for women to create businesses. However, our guest of today was fearless. She is courageous. She was not afraid by this statistic, and she worked very hard to create her business in the industry of insurance. She is a brave woman. She is Cameroonian. She has a wonderful personality. Not only she has accepted our invitation, but we are recording in her office. Buckle up because today we are going to the next level. Welcome to Africa Spotlight and welcome to Mrs. Vicky Fojo. Welcome to Africa Spotlight.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. We are very honored. We know you have a very busy schedule, so we are very happy to be with you today.
I'm humbled to have been selected by you guys because I know it's not just a random pick. You guys select by, you have your criteria you go by, and I don't know how I qualified or I fit into that criteria, but by some grace of God, I happen to fit into that criteria, and I'm humbled to be your guest for today, and I hope I meet your expectations.
Yeah, you definitely do.
Welcome on our set. We are very pleased to have you here today. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, I guess my first question will be, who is Mrs. Vicky Fojo? Can you introduce yourself for our viewers?
Okay. My name is Victorine Atiabet Fojo, and I come from Cameroon. I've been in the United States for quite a bit. I am married with two kids, two wonderful kids, a boy and a girl, and a husband. I have had other careers, and at some part of my life, by divine design, I rerouted myself into what I'm doing today. And I'm not yet where I want to be, but I can only say I can't thank God enough to be where I am today. And the future is brighter.
Yeah,
Amen.
exactly. And could you explain to us and to everyone watching us out there what your job, your work consists in? What do you do on a daily basis?
Okay, on a daily basis, I am a businesswoman. To be specific, I am a financial professional. On a daily basis, I help families understand the American system, how it's structured, how it can better benefit them to meet the expectations of the American dream that they came here to look for. I sit down in individual homes, offices, conferences, churches, all kinds of places, Starbucks, coffee shops, any place that meets the preference of my clients, to educate my community about some privileges, things that exist in this country that can better advance their financial dreams, their financial journey here in America, because we all came to America because we came for the greener pastures. Back where we came from, not everybody, I mean for us the immigrants, where we came from, we love the food. I think most people love the food better. We miss our family. Most of us are here with a good portion of our family left back home, and we left most of our lives back home, came here to start from zero. And so what brought us here? The idea of money, the idea of coming to make more money, live a better lifestyle, change our lives, give a better future to our kids. But yet when we come here, we have no idea how to understand the same thing that brought us here. We chase the money. If you go into our community, most people have 2-3 jobs.
Yes.
They work till they drop. Very often we have heard people who worked and they dropped dead due to stress. Yet they came to America with the American dream. Had they sat down to try to understand the system, how to work less and yet make more, or how to understand how the system is structured with some advantages that can give them more time. You see, creating wealth is more about having money and the time to spend the money and enjoy the money and the family time. If you have money yet you don't have time, you're trading time for money, you are poor. Riches is not all about money. There are people laying in the hospitals with money and they have no time to even spend it. So how do you understand how the system is structured? So much so that you can understand how to actually live the American dream. We are all on that journey together, and I am on a crusade to help as many families as possible to understand this. And I'm, in the course of teaching, I'm also learning too.
Okay, wonderful. So when you're giving that education to people to help them create their own wealth and to benefit all the privileges that other people are having, what type of product, I would say, are you, I don't know, offering to them? And how does it differ how is it different from the other financial product, I guess?
Awesome. So mostly or mainly, we educate people about how to do what the 5% of Americans do. There are some 10 principles that the 5% of Americans use to get ahead of us. There are only 5% of people in America considered to be wealthy. Can you imagine the population of America is about more than 300 million people, yet only 5% of that population is considered to be wealthy. The people that are working for when you are working for less than $250,000, if you're working for $150,000, that's minimum wage. 200,000, you're still minimum wage. When you break $250,000, now you have gotten into the 1% of the American population that is in called the elites.
Yes.
So now, what is it they are doing? It's not mostly because they are working harder than us. Most of them work less. But what is it they understand that the other population do not understand? What we do is we sit down and we educate our community to understand that. They use some principles. They do not pay double taxation. They grow their money by compounding. For those who did mathematics in schools, you pay compound interest when the companies like banks and financing, the companies finance anything for you, like the house, the car, the school loan, the credit card. They make you pay double interest to them. You pay interest on the principal that you're borrowing, you pay interest on the interest.
Yes. Unfortunately.
Have they ever sat to think, how can I also earn that when I give my money to them to keep? If they're keeping my money, they are making profit on my money.
Exactly.
Now, they have to pay me compound interest too. Because why is it only me paying? I better be earning compound interest when I have my money sitting somewhere too, in the form of investment. Most of the places that the middle class know to keep their money, it's only simple interest. They don't compound money. If you don't compound your wealth, it's going to take you way longer to get to your destination, because what is coming out is more than what is coming in. You're paying compound interest in the things you're paying. If you're not earning compound interest, how are you going to get to your destination? So we teach families how to understand that if you're paying compound interest, you better be earning compound interest. There's something in America that is called compound interest. You better compound money to get to the elite class. You better avoid double taxation. Don't pay taxes and taxes. There are accounts that grow tax-free in this country.
Okay.
Everybody has to pay taxes on their paychecks.
Yes.
The government needs taxes to build infrastructures. That's the legal. But now you are under no obligation to pay more taxes than you are legally allowed to pay. But there is an America for the informed and an America for the uninformed. If you're not informed, there are accounts where if your money grows in, you will pay taxes again on the growth. And nobody's going to stop you. You are ignorant. The system benefits from your ignorance. But if you understand the accounts that compound and at the same time does not pay taxes on the growth, on the compounded growth, you benefit. So, if you don't sit down and educate yourself, they say formal education will earn you a living. You would eat every day, you pay the bills, but self-education will earn you a fortune.
So, Mrs. Vicky, what I understand from what you were sharing is you educate people about financial education. So now what I would like to know is what are the steps, like if someone comes to you and say, okay, I want to be educated, what is the next step?
Okay, so the next step is we book an appointment. Usually the normal process is I'm usually the one that goes towards people. Hardly does anybody come towards me because in my community, everybody thinks that they don't need it, or they're doing me a favor, or they give excuses and excuses. I have to run behind people. But when we come to a consensus that we're going to sit down and talk, we book an appointment. Then we either meet here at the office or their location of preference. And then we sit down, I open my computer, I have a PowerPoint, and we start from the beginning. I begin to break down the information little by little from, you know how you start breaking down information, like introducing who we are, the companies we work with, what we do, the principles. And today we are sitting here because of I want to give you financial education that will help benefit you and your children, how to send your kids to college without school loan. If today you couldn't work due to sickness or accident, what do you have that will replace your income? I want to show you some things in this country that could really benefit you financially and help you create wealth and help you have a plan B that you can fall back to in case of the God forbid, like sickness or accident, all those things that we don't think will happen, but they will happen. And so I'm going to show you the alternatives that are in this country, why the other communities don't run around doing 2-3 jobs, because they have alternatives that are better than our alternatives. Our alternatives are people thinking that they will work 2-3 jobs, and most of the time they are not able to save anything. Meanwhile, there are better alternatives in this country. The system is structured in a way that if you understand those alternatives, you're better off, way better off. That's why you don't see them doing 2-3 jobs. Yet when those, God forbid, situations happen, they don't panic. How many times have you seen a GoFundMe going on in the white communities? No, you don't. But in our communities, even a medical doctor that we think they are making good money is GoFundMe. Sickness, default, GoFundMe. Serious sickness, by the time they are sick for several months, the first few months is fine because they have some savings. But down the road, if it's like cancer, that's going to GoFundMe. If they die, GoFundMe. Everybody, engineers, doctors, pharmacists, everybody ends up on GoFundMe. There is a reason why we end up that way. The middle class community do not know how to build wealth and sustain it. It's one thing to build wealth, it's another to sustain it and be able. How many generations can you transfer it down? That is what we sit down and we show people how these things happen in the other community and how they can make it happen for themselves. And there are products that those things pass through. And then we show them those products, and then we only educate. We are not financial advisors. So we educate, and the ball is in your court. You choose to do what you want to do with the information. And we tell you, knowledge is not power. Like I know in English, they say knowledge is power. Knowledge is not power. Action is power. You can know that war is coming. If you don't run, you don't have any power. It will come and kill you. So it's action that you put to the information that you know. So we give the information. We say, we are here to help. We can help you put this information into action for you. Or you choose not to do anything with it. You go your way, we go our way. It's free information. No obligation.
Okay. So the way you're explaining it, it sounds very interesting, very good, maybe too good to be true. So I guess the question is, how do you convince people who might think that this is not legit, this sounds too good to be true, or this is, a Ponzi scheme?
Awesome. And more often than not, we have run into that problem. And it's starting to get better. I've been in this industry for 5 years. It was 5 years ago. And during my introduction, I probably didn't mention that I used to be a registered nurse. I have worked as a registered nurse. I even worked with the Department of Public Health. But when I found this opportunity, I found more passion in this because I saw the lack of this, the need for this in my community, and I knew I had to go help my people. And secondly, it was more lucrative for me. It was better pay for me, for my income than the other one. So it was a win-win situation. Both what I was going to be doing and both income-wise, it was better for me. So I switched careers. So in the beginning, it was tougher than it is now, because now the information has gotten to be more out there in the community. In the beginning, most people have called us scammers, thieves, liars, and things like that, because it's something that has been in existence for more than 100 years in the other communities. And like they say, it's information that has been hidden from the middle class. They call it hidden because, yes, truly they choose not to show the middle class, but it's not hidden, because if a middle class goes out to educate themselves, nobody stops them from educating themselves. But they too choose not to show it to the middle class, and so they call it hidden. So, but because the middle class did not know it, now that we were like almost the first generation of the people bringing this information, especially to the immigrant communities, we were looked upon like, this is too good to be true. Yeah. And the thing I like about this thing is it is too good that nobody should walk away from it. It is the reason why the Rockefellers, the Kennedys, all these billion-dollar families have been able to maintain billions in their family generations. And yet, we are trying to show it to our own communities. They were not accepting it in the beginning, but it has come. They have heard it too many times from too many people. They start to say, it can't be too many. And the way we make it more convincing is, when we would take a tour of the office, you will see a big business bag there, the bag I was rolling in. I came in before you guys came. It's full of books. And I often tell people, go to Amazon, go to ebooks, go to all these libraries, go look for titles like this, look for your own books, read like this. There are videos online. People are beginning to pump videos on things like that now online. And hear for yourself. Read for yourself. Nobody will write a book about lies and it's audited and allowed to be in the market, on the shelves in the libraries to fool people. I open books and I show them. I have a license by the state. The Ministry of Insurance and Consumers and Insurance has to sign my license to allow me to even go out and spread this information to people. What government licenses people to go and tell lies? So if I am licensed to go to speak about this, it must be true. So for the Thomases that want to see a lot of proofs, by the time I show them these things, I show them my license, I show them the books, and they tend to believe. Most of the time, sometimes there's more no's. I need to go ask my uncle, the same uncle that is just as ignorant as him. Some of them say, I have to go ask my uncle. Some of them is, nah, I need to do my research, which they go and they don't do no research. And we encounter a lot of difficulties. Some just see it like another bill they're going to be paying. Meanwhile, it's building their future. So, but the good thing about it is, it's just like the gospel of Christ. You win one soul, heaven is rejoicing. You win one soul, heaven is rejoicing. When we have one family, I sleep that night, I am rejoicing, I have helped a family. The day that family is in trouble, it will be my name they'll be calling in that house. It's thanks to Auntie Vicky, we would have been in trouble. I keep moving with who cares to listen. So, like you said, what do I do to convince people that this is not some Ponzi scheme or it's not a lie? We have licenses to prove that we are licensed by the government. And some of them have seen actual situations that have happened in the community, and their situations were better because they did things the way we structured their finances to be, compared to other situations that failed to listen, and the two situations were very different. So some have learned from actual experience, some have gone back and actually read and come back like, I have read, I've done my research, I believe this. Some have heard from so many other sources, they're like, I'm hearing these things for more than the first time, it must be true. And some hear just the first time that this can't, no, you've convinced me it is true. I'm in for it. So that's how we go about it.
But I would like to clarify something, not just for me, but also for our audience. You said you are a financial advisor, but finance is really big. So I was wondering if maybe we can break it out, like you advise for taxes, you advise for maybe investment niche, your advice for maybe life insurance stuff and maybe career choices, those kind of thing, just to understand better what we are talking about.
Awesome. So we are financial professionals, not advisors. An advisor will tell you what to go do. A professional will give you general information about how this system works, how this works, how this works, how this works. Now you make a decision. We don't advise people what to do. We provide information about how the system works and what affects the system in this aspect. In taxes, we show you how you can bet how if you do things like this is how taxes will affect you in the form of growth. Compound interest and simple interest grows like this, and this type of account like this, in the form of a probate court system. Something that most 99% of our community do not know about. Probate court. Who has heard about a probate? Every time I ask about it, almost 100% of the time, they don't even know that there's something called a probate. We explain to them. So we explain things that are the base of how the system is structured. Then you now make a decision on. But to be candid, our base is index accounts, like index universal life insurance, index annuities. We like the index because to us, index means you never make a negative, you never take a loss. Index means there's a minimum interest you will make, it's called a floor, and there's a maximum interest you will make, it's called the cap. So there is never a day you will make a negative. If the market is giving 5%, the 5% will go to you. Let's say your cap is 15% and your floor is 1%, meaning that anytime the market is giving any interest rate out there when they invest your money, between 1% to 15%, everything will go to you. Everything will go to you. But when the market crashes and the market is in the negative, they will still give you, it's guaranteed to give you the minimum of 1%, never a negative. But when the market goes above your cap, let's say for example 15%, you will get 15%, and whatever excess is on top, that's when the company benefits. So there are accounts like that, and the index accounts, they are tax free. They grow by compound interest strategy. They are probate court free. Probate court means that everybody that lives in America, when they die, they freeze their accounts. Because every bill that you used to pay when you were living, the day you pass away, you will pay those same bills. How are you going to pay those bills? The bills you consume before dying, they're going to obligate you to pay. So how are you going to pay? Immediately the nurse reports, there's a 1-800 number that the nurse calls when everybody dies. When the nurse calls the doctor and the doctor pronounces the person dead, because the nurses cannot pronounce dead. Even if you die on the shift with the nurse on duty, the nurse has to call a doctor to pronounce the person dead. When the doctor comes and checks the person and the doctor confirms that the person is dead, it's the nurse now. The next thing the nurse does is to call a 1-800 number. They call it the corona. They spell it the same way like the coronavirus, CORONA, like the corona. So when they call that number is only called when somebody dies. It's not called, nobody's going to pick it on the other side and say, oh, how can I help you? It's not called for any other reason. So once it's called, it's for death. So the system it's an automated system. So when it rings, it knows they are reporting a death. So once it rings, it's going to ask to put in the social of the person. They put it in. Then it says put in the date of birth, they put it in. So it's going to bank. It now identifies that this person who owns this social, together with this date of birth, is deceased. Now the system will freeze everything you own in the United States. All your bank accounts are blocked. Not even your husband, nor your children, nor your pastor, nor your lawyer, nor your mama, your papa. Nobody can have access to it anymore. It's frozen. I don't care if you and your husband had a joint account. They don't care that the other is frozen. Why are they freezing it? You have left bills behind. Your creditors, those companies that you owe them. Have you paid that electricity bill? No. You think they're leaving you to go with that? They'll need you to pay their electricity bill that you consume. Maybe you died around the 15th. From the 1st to the 15th, the prorate, you have to pay for those 15 days. The car you are driving, you have not finished paying. Who's going to finish that loan that Wells Fargo's financed that car? They're coming after their 20,000 that you're still owing. The school loan, you went to school in America, you have not finished. The mortgage, you haven't finished paying that house. All those things, everything you own, you owe. They're coming after that. So they freeze all your accounts, even your taxes that you've not filed. They are coming after that to make sure you pay for those things. So they block all your accounts. When they block it, now they collect everything you own and pay your creditors. If anything is left, they will not hand it to your family. And it's a process that takes between a year to 3 years. Now you see the reason why in the middle class, everybody ends up in GoFundMe. Because even people that actually have money in their account, they can't access it. These are the information that we are trying to tell our community. What account do you own? If something were to happen to you today, can your children and your spouse be left behind stranded, or can they still access your wealth? How many generations can you transfer this wealth you're busy saving down? Will it be gone into the probate court system? Because if you died in the hospital, do you know how much hospital bill you'll be owing? Can you transfer anything down? Can you? But do you know there are people that will owe millions more than you, but because there are certain accounts that escape that process, the money will not be touched. So we are educating them about some certain places and certain things in the system that work to the advantage of everybody. The America for the informed and the America for the uninformed. So we expose on dévoiler. We expose the America and how the system is structured to show them what works and what doesn't work. We don't force you. We don't tell you this is what you will do. We just show you what works and what doesn't work, and you make a choice. So,
Wow, very inspiring. I can tell you are very convincing. So, yeah, so you mentioned you were a nurse before. Um, so what really, and you also mentioned that the beginning were difficult. What really gave you the motivation to quit your job and to focus on this job?
awesome. I must say that I give God the glory. Seriously, like even every day when I bow my head to pray, I thank God because for giving me the conviction. Because many doubted this. And even till today, it's hard to convince anybody in my community. People are more comfortable with what they can see. I can guarantee that my paycheck will come in every 2 weeks. I can make this amount of money. Rather than I work on commission, it's love is random. I don't know what I'll make this month. I don't know what is gonna come in. If I don't make any money, I cannot pay my bill. So it takes a leap of faith to leave everything behind and go for something that is shooting for the blank. So when I first, thanks to uh, one gentleman that came and spoke to me, he came to speak to the Cameroonian community here. Um, when I met him, I told him that I was interested in what he spoke about. Can he come to my house the next day and explain it further to me? So when he came, he explained further. It was a lot of rambling. Some people, there were people in my house that day. Most were doubting. Oh no, this thing is too good to be true. Or no. But I was focused like this. I was speechless. Like I couldn't take my eyes off of him. He was drawing lines. Now we have things now in PowerPoint. Things are more. 5 years ago, before the COVID era, things were not as structured now online as they are now. So he was drawing lines on the table on a paper and explaining things, and my mouth was open the whole time. So I was so convinced from day one. But everybody else that was there, nobody else except me was convinced. Nobody else. They doubted, they argued, they asked questions. I was convinced. I asked him. So to cut a long story short, when he was leaving, at that time I was a director of nursing. And then when he was leaving, I asked him, how can I mean, his intention was to convince us to open index accounts. But I was more than interested in just opening the index account. I wanted to be also a financial professional like him. I asked him, how can I do what you do?